How do you feel and what do you look at when it comes to your end of year accounts? I'm going to approach this topic and show the opportunity because most adventure travel, experience travel business owners, and the reason I want to ask you those questions is because I want to know, when you look at your end of year accounts, what is it specifically that you're looking at? Or what do you look at to determine what happened over the past year? Your revenue, your expenses, your profitability per trip potentially. I want to help you in this video look a couple of layers deeper and more specifically help you look at the operational cost, friction, reactive work and miss opportunities that you might not right now be stopping to measure. If you're heading to year end and are only looking at those surface level metrics and not using the data that you've got to understand more, you're probably missing what your numbers are actually telling you. And that is the bit that I want to talk to you about today. The timing of this video is so optimal because we are coming to the end of, for what would be for many businesses in the UK, and I know a lot of places overseas, we're coming to the end of the financial year. And typically we're taught at this point to be able to look, and I know from myself, is a moment to reflect on what we owe the tax man. But what I want you to do is I want you to look at your numbers this year and how you're reflecting back over this past year differently. I want you to look at what I call the inefficiency tax. And don't worry, it's not something that you actively have to pay, but it's something that you will have been paying for. It's one of the things that is stopping you from getting to where you potentially want to be with your business. This inefficiency tax is the money lost in your business through friction. And this is the friction that comes from manual processes, reactive ways of working, having to firefight different issues that come up, complaints, managing logistics on multiple different projects over multiple different areas, relying on one individual, guests that are unhappy or potentially had an incredible experience that don't come back again, and underused client data. And this isn't because your business isn't successful. This isn't because your trips weren't exceptional. This comes from the fact that your operational structure, your client experience and your business backend is costing you so much more than you realize. And why this matters right now is because that end of year, that end of financial year is where you can actually do something about it coming into your next year. At this point in the year, your business is looking at what and how much resource you allocate and to what over the next 12 months. So whether that's thinking about where we've been capped this year and we mean the misunderstanding that we need more team members. This is what we can invest in. These are the conferences and exhibitions and places that we are going to go as a team with the business this year. This is how much budget we've got for software, hiring, HR, resourcing, marketing. This is where you have a look at all of those things. And if you don't look at where your operational leaks are, being able to identify those through your data, through your numbers, you're going to carry them forward into the next year, but you're exponentially looking to grow. So if you're a 500K to $1 million business and you're looking to hit 3 to 5 million revenue over the next years, and you don't fix these issues, they're not going to go away. If anything, they're going to be exaggerated into a bigger problem that requires more firefighting, more team members, more manual processes, and more drain on your accounts at that larger scale. It's not a different problem, it's just the size of the problem grows the bigger you get when we don't stop and solve it. This is not just an opportunity to review and look and submit your account. It's a really good point for clear decision making on what we want to do and how we want to prioritize. Those priorities might mean better time tracking, investing in a clearer CRM. That might mean looking at how we document and spend time documenting our processes. This could be looking at better follow-up, reevaluating our pricing. But if you don't account for all those operational issues and understand them, you have to understand that you are still paying for that in some way, shape, or form. So before we dive in, I want to ask you, do you know where that effort, that time, cost of that operational issue or leaks right now, do you know where that money is actually going, where it's being spent? I'm going to go through 3 areas and 3 different concepts that I look at myself for Reconnect as our customer experience and operations director, but also for the businesses that I work with to help you identify where those operational leaks might be. Number 1 is looking at effort versus profitability. So most operators that I speak to already look and analyze and understand profitability per trip, potentially as they're going through it and then upon reflection. And depending on how many trips that you cover over the course of a year, whether you're a small boutique firm and you do around 30 in-depth and detailed trips, or you are somewhere in the region of 100 to 500 different itineraries that anyone can do over at any point, depends if they're self-guided or guided tours. Because a trip can look profitable on paper, but if it took hours of itinerary building, guest coordination, managing DMCs, weather changes, understanding logistics, the fallout of this, actually being there on the ground and delivering the experience, how heavy and time consuming and stressful were those trips? And what are the opportunities potentially for us to systemize or streamline and add in a policy or a process, how we manage certain situations so that next time or next year, we carry this forward into next year, we know that we have a certain way of being able to build an itinerary so it doesn't take as long for us to do. Is there a set of guidelines or expectations or a way of working or delivering or training that we can give to the DMC on the ground to what it's like to deliver on behalf of us as a team and what we would expect or what we're trying to give to our guests? And then there's the second leak, and this is the stuff that nobody prices for. This is all the unavoidable issues that, like what's happening in the world right now, that typically are outside of your control. But what isn't outside of your control is the cost of managing and handling what happens around that. Especially in adventure, expeditions, tours, and experiential travel, we can't control everything, and there is often a lot of things that can change, go wrong. Weather changes, acts of God, war, disruptions, route changes, guide changes, illness. And that, I understand, is the nature of the model. But what we can do is understand typically what that costs us at an extreme level so that we can account for, or similarly, like I said in that first league, is can we add a process or a policy or a procedure as to how we manage that as a team or as a business, so that if that does happen, even if it sits outside our terms and conditions, how do we respond to scenarios like this? What do we do when this happens? So the third hidden leak is your CRM and repeat booking gap. If you've watched any of my other videos, you will know that I talk a lot about client experience leading to higher client retention and repeat bookings. And this hidden leak more specifically looks at your client lifetime value, your retention rate, and your repeat booking, and how much money you're making from those repeat bookings. And why this is an operational gap is because most of the businesses and tour operators that I speak to have some form of CRM. And if it's not a specific CRM itself, it's built into their tour management software, their TMS. That could be WeTravel, Bookin', Fair Harbor. There are loads of different opportunities or platforms or softwares that you can use for your trip specifically, and some of them have a built-in CRM. Most of them manage the trip, but they don't manage the relationship with their clients and look to build that to help them decide that you're the right person to come back again. So you have all of this information hidden, or not hidden, but on display in there. It's like it's actually on display in plain sight of who your clients are, what they're interested in, their inquiry behavior, their preferences, past trips that they've booked, future interests or ideas or likes and dislikes that they possibly have, who they normally travel with. You've got all of this rich data that if you aren't using it or understanding it, or if you're not doing anything or using it, you're not building a repeat booking or retention strategy. What this means for your business is that if you feel that you're having to plug so much time and money into your marketing, and it shows in your end of year accounts, is your marketing spend just keeps on rising and rising and rising, and new business comes in, but you don't have a strong or a very high lifetime value, you're not using that data enough, and you don't have maybe a solid enough client experience to be able to encourage those clients to go back with you. At that point, most of your future revenue, or that opportunity for future revenue, sits within clients that have already had an incredible experience with you. So if you want to stop looking at this like a really vague operations problem and actually find out where specifically and where along your customer journey and which trips or excursions or itineraries that are costing you the most, I have 3 questions that I'm going to ask you to help you identify that. So before we jump in, pause this, grab a pen and paper, screenshot these questions, because I'm going to ask you 3 questions that are going to help you identify where specifically you feel like you've got these leaks from in your operational journey. Number 1, which trips, itineraries, excursions, tours created the most hidden effort that you didn't quite think of at first versus the money it brought in? So thinking just beyond the margin, like what was that profit margin, but also how much effort, like which ones were higher effort versus the profit margin they brought in. Number 2, where did you or your team, depending on the size of your business, spend the most reactive time last year? And what was that on, and how much time was it? So which trips, but also what was that on specifically? Was it weather changes, supplier issues, itinerary changes, reassurance, complaint handling, all of it? Like, I want you to get really clear on what out of all of those things that might be either avoidable or unavoidable that you're spending the most time, and what's costing you the most. And number 3, which guests had an incredible experience, should have come back, and what system did we have in place to make sure that that happens? Thinking about, were there guests that you feel like could have come back or would have been amazing, or they were on the edge and we kind of just missed that opportunity? Do we have a system in place or a process or a structure in place to make sure that we are capitalizing on repeat bookings? What I would ask you just on top of those 3 questions, and my final question, is think alongside these, where specifically do all these issues typically arise? Like, where is the biggest gap in our customer experience? Is it pre-sale, post-sale, in that onboarding phase when someone just comes on board and we've, onboarded them onto that trip? Is it on the ground, managing DMCs, communications, trip issues and complaints or changes? Or is it in that kind of post-trip, getting them to come back, that offboarding, nurturing, and bringing them back through that client lifecycle? If you cannot answer those clearly, or if you're answering them and they're not giving you the results that you think or you initially thought that you might have, one, that's a good thing because it's helping you identify where there are opportunities, where the gaps might be right now. It's showing you that there is a bigger problem that your balance sheet is currently not telling you. Let me know in the comments if there's anything that came up for you, any questions that have come up following this. I really am passionate about these numbers because the numbers in our business give us so much indication on where we want to be looking to optimize before we start going in, doing the work and making assumptions and changes. Your year-end accounts aren't just there to tell you what you owe. They are a golden opportunity, and I feel like I say that quite a lot, but they are a really good way of showing you where your business is hard, inefficient, and structurally needs optimizations to help you get it to where you feel like it needs to be or where you want it to be. The best adventure and experiential travel businesses don't just design epic experiences. They do, but they've got the structure and they've protected the margin enough to make sure that they can keep doing that at the same level that they are and exceeding that for their clients. So yes, look at your numbers, but also go deeper underneath to ask yourself and reflect and compare on not just one trip, not just multiple trips over a quarter, but the trips over the entire year, and look at what is it telling you, or what are they telling you about your customer experience, your operations, your way of working, your team, your clients, your suppliers. Like, what is it telling you about that, and finding those opportunities for you to be able to develop, improve, and find more efficiency, so your inefficient tax reduces, and which probably means that your other tax, the tax that you owe, will probably increase as you be able to make more profit and more money out of what it is you do. In my opinion, that's a really good sign, because it means that you're able to generate more money out of the experiences, the services that you offer, that you're able to put back into other things. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one.